Welcome to December 2024. Steph Spading is on the show with me today. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you.
We are going to talk about what happened this year, Steph.
This was an interesting year.
It sure was, in good ways and unusual ways, don't you
Absolutely.
think? And we are going to talk about what we predict is happening in 2025, because do we have a lot of people in the hopper thinking about making a decision right now? Do we not?
We do. There's going to be a lot happening in 2025.
Why do you think that is?
So we are coming off, 2024 was an election year. So historically, we do see some pause around that. And then historically, we see a lot more transactions happen post-election.
It's true.
That's historically across the board. We'll see how 2025 shakes out, but that's what we're prepared for. Also, we saw that the average and median first-time homebuyer age went up. So there's a lot going on in the world and the economy, things like that. And then, as we know, navigating a move can be complex. And a lot of the people that we're meeting, they're at a pause stage. They don't know what to do, and they're looking for someone to help advise them.
It's true. You nailed it on the head. You've got a young population that has spent more time thinking about what they want, stayed in the rental world longer, and they're all delving into homeownership right now, like in volume, for sure.
Absolutely.
And then we have this other faction, like myself, 50 plus, in life transition. And life is complicated. When you've raised your family and you've been in a home for 10 to 20 plus years, there's a lot of moving parts. And we do a lot of events, right?
We do.
And we meet a lot of different personalities.
We do every week.
And I would say well over 50% of the work we've seen this year has been in major life transition.
Yes, I agree with that.
So if you were to outline in 3 simple steps what you're seeing as obstacles for these personalities that you're meeting and how you've been able to level up and bring some clarity and some relief to the process for them, what would it be?
There are a lot. To bring it down to 3, I would say number 1 being what's next? What's my next move? Kind of paralysis around that.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Needing advising on, what are my options and how can I get there? Number 2, for folks that already are living in a home, it's the stuff component.
Stuff management. It's huge.
Having a lot of things, and how do I,
how do I navigate it?
Exactly.
Paralysis and stuff management, hardcore. You nailed it. And then the third?
Third, I would say timing, maybe. People want to, how can we time this to work for our family, or how can we time the market? Which we can't,
Timing also comes with some procrastination for all of us, right?
Yes, definitely.
We could spend hours just talking about that.
And the psychology behind that.
For sure. I think that anybody would be lying to say that preparing for a major move, where you're moving your home and you're transitioning, can be daunting.
Absolutely.
So we try to make it fun, because really we spend 80% of our time, everyone, in our home. And we want to make sure that regardless of where an individual is, Steph, in their life, they could be 21 and just graduating from college, or you just got married, and you want to start your first home together, or you're now having your second baby. And you are bursting. We've got a client like that right now. They're actually on their 3rd, bursting at the seams, and they've been trying to figure it out for well over a year and a half now. And the leveling up, if you will, is what I'd like to talk about on our team, is how do we curate a plan that will allow you to feel at peace, not overwhelmed, understand moving, it does come with, a change. But how do we make that change so worthwhile that we're creating the building blocks to have your perfect space?
Yep. And providing those solutions are really key to give someone the empowerment that they know that they can go from A to B seamlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Z. even. So you have had a transforming year. You've done an incredible, Steph's done an incredible book of business. And I would say, personally, I see it in the light of a mental mindset transition and how you view the client experience. And you bring so much value, Steph, to the table in terms of really hearing and listening to what you are looking to do with your life, and then how do you build a plan. So what has been the takeaway with these interesting stories you've been a part of that would be insightful not only for the buyer or seller out there, but perhaps even for a fellow realtor that had a hard time figuring out how to navigate this year because there was a lot going on?
To bring it back to the data point that we're seeing, the for average first-time home buyer age increase to about, they came out with 38 or so.
Isn't that that's incredible?
That's crazy.
To me.
Yeah, and I've helped a lot of younger folks dive into home ownership, but seeing that change, I think, kind of speaks to this past year. My business, I was working more with an older, more mature demographic. And with that comes more complexity, as we discussed. So being able to sit down and really hear people out, understanding what their goal is.
Right.
And then coming in with solutions, building the team to put around them to get them there.
Right.
A lot of times what they're looking for, they're not seeing on the market publicly. So doing our private networking, showing them that we do have options for them, and building that team to help get them there, because
That's right.
there are so many complexities.
I love the team building component in every conversation. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about real estate, or last night I was with a client. I'm going to use this as an example. I've worked with this whole family over the last well over a decade. I started with a husband and wife that I met at an open house almost 15 years ago. I sold their home and moved them into a listing I represented, and then I met their parents, who I moved from Duluth. Sadly, he passed away, and I've worked with all of the family members, to include a woman who's a doctor. I moved her from Arizona 3 years ago, and we were in the middle of right-sizing. Like, okay, it's time. There's an amazing opportunity in this development that her mother lives in. And mid-acquisition, there was just this awareness of, this is not right. I'm not ready yet. Like, we lead with truly right-sizing with the awareness that it has to be right for the client. And whether that's now or a year from now, or we're future casting a plan, and like, this is the 3 to 5 year home, and then we're going to be moving you again and upsizing you at this point in time, and really navigating the nuances of circling back the team that helps you through that decision. And it's just not one person. One of the reasons we work together as a team is it does truly take a village anymore, with the complexities of the world, to really do anything, right? Any work that you do. You could be the CEO of a major corporation, or an attorney, or a doctor, or a realtor, or you're a small business entrepreneur. That's very difficult now with the ways of the world and how the process works. For all things, to not have more than one person navigating it, right?
Absolutely.
So when we step into an opportunity, whether we're in the grocery store, or we're at an event, or we're with our family, it's really about being valuable and sharing insight to help you through the psychology of, where are you at now? Where do you want to be? What are the obstacles? And how do we get you through them? That's really fundamentally what we do every day.
Yep.
And what's brilliant about Steph is you are so laser focused on value-based thinking. And you listen and look at each story, and whether you have the answer instantaneously or you need to process and come back to the story, you will curate a solution, which is what I love about this business.
Yep.
You do a beautiful job of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think that for anyone who's in or around this industry, I think we've really gotten away from the why behind what we do, right?
We want to help people.
We want to help people. We want to help people through major life change. And I think the world has made it way more complex than it really is.
Yeah, and I think when you meet a family or an individual, they're in it, they have a lot going on, and it's hard for them to see how they get to that goal. And our job is to, be up here and see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And offer that insight and really advise in a way that, they're not getting.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of people in this industry lose sight of that, right? They lose sight of this isn't just buying or selling a piece of real estate. There's a whole lot of life we're unpacking to get an individual. And this isn't just residential housing, by the way. We've been talking, we've got a lot of people looking at how do we build an investment portfolio? How am I going to maybe put myself in a position where I can have 3 rental properties for retirement in 20 years? We've got one client who's building a business here, moving a business here, and we're building a commercial building for them. We've got clients who want to build a home. They can't find what they want out there, and they're looking for land so we can build them a custom home. It's a variety pack because we're about the passion of right-sizing and creating a life. It's not just about the individual product.
Yep.
So we've got a listing we've been navigating that is a renovation project. What is your takeaway this year in spending time in the Urban Edge home that we're representing right now? Like the people that you're meeting, what are you finding that the number one thing is that they're looking for?
What's interesting, there's been a lot of takeaways, and it's been amazing, working with Urban Edge and seeing their project from beginning to end. I think one of the biggest takeaways is the need for turnkey properties. So people are really gravitating and coming through our opens because there's inventory on the market, but there's not much that is turnkey. This one's a luxury property specifically.
Right.
And people aren't wanting to have to
Do anything,
especially a large-scale renovation. So to be able to show them, the before, the after, everything in between really resonates with them. They can see instantly, the transformation. And I think being in that space, you can see that, especially an Urban Edge product, the quality, the craftsmanship is
It's
10
amazing.
out of 10.
It really is. And I think a lot of people, Steph, you get there. Most real estate is not turnkey.
Correct.
And even turnkey real estate, everyone has their own take on certain customized finishes.
How they live and breathe in the home, what they need.
And I think buyers, we'll talk about buyers right now, look at real estate very literally. Like what they see is what they get.
Yep. Not everyone has the ability to bring a vision.
And what I love about what we're doing with counseling is we can take a product and figure out the budget and reverse engineer it, I call it. Like even in a $2.5 million home, whether it's $250,000 or $2.5 million, how do you take your vision based on your affordability and create an aesthetic and a feel that is just yummy when you walk in and it's your home? And I think that being aware that that is an ability, and there's a way to slice and dice that and make that budget work for you as the consumer when you're out looking at real estate, and or if you're preparing your home for market, on the flip side, when we're working with our sellers, how do we create a product that is the most sustainable and, finished? Like I always say, finish this product with a bow on top, so we're delivering to the consumer exactly what they want or as close to as possible. It goes both ways.
Yep.
And no one product is, the same. Like this is an individual conversation for each buyer, each seller. So in preparing homes for market, as you have 3 launches coming up here very shortly, how do you counsel your clients to prepare them for that process and what's involved?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things we talk to our clients about when they're prepping is is depersonalizing, decluttering, and neutralizing the space. And the goal is to attract the biggest buyer pool, audience, and make it look as HGTV as possible.
Yeah, everybody loves HGTV.
That's what people are looking for. Yeah, and that also is going to photograph the best, and that's where we're reaching people, is first with the photography that they're seeing.
Absolutely. And video work.
And video work, yeah. So a lot of times that includes getting paint bids, so talking about neutralizing with paint color, updating or adjusting light fixtures.
Right. It's a full design, and it can be
impactful.
done affordably, by the way.
Exactly.
Very affordably and really reasonably. If you've been in the home for any considerable amount of time, those things really need to be done in order to deliver an outcome that's elevated. Like this, the whole point of this is to make the seller as much money as possible. And there's a strategy behind that, most certainly.
Yeah, and it gets you the most ROI. So we're advising on that, right? What can we do here to get you the best outcome for the best price?
That is the number one goal. And then the pendulum swing, I call it. How do you counsel your clients when they're buying and selling at the same time?
So every story is different.
I know.
So we're going to take a unique approach for each person on how we make that work. But typically, if we're working with someone who owns a home and is looking to move into a new home, we first want to start by privately networking the current home that they're in. So while we're advising on what we just talked about, we can start privately networking their home, which means, we're not putting it on the public market. We're making calls. We're doing our
It's
networking
old school.
thing. Yeah. We're connecting with buyers that might be interested in that property while seeking their next property.
So, Steph, I have been asked this for years. Why don't I have my own brokerage? Why do I not work with XYZ, whatever, right? Edina Realty, my understanding is we're 45% of the market share for this reason, the size of the brokerage. It's one of the oldest rooted brokers in the Midwest. The technology and the networking power behind this collaborative is incredible. Our exceptional properties group is one of the largest, as far as I know, in the country. And the networking power, when you talk about networking in the new world of real estate, it's a very, very highly profitable for the clientele, because we're able, because of the size of the brokerage, and we're all under one roof, we're all able to communicate and network with each other seamlessly. And the power of that for the client, paired with the curated work that we do as a team, elevates the experience to a place that's very hard to compete with, right? So in networking, when we talk about private networking, people say, you can't do that. Actually, you can. When you're under a brokerage of that size, you are absolutely able to do this very powerful networking. And when you are 10% of the total agency in your community, in your city, we have like 22,000 agents, I believe. It's powerful. And then, of course, you've got relationships in the industry. I probably am receiving over 50 emails a week saying, hey, I'm really looking for this. I'm really looking for that. And as a team, we're able to network with each other and help others. If it's one-on-one, it's all good. So is it more work? Absolutely.
And that's why not everyone's doing it, I believe.
It's not a one-man show at all. You cannot do it as a solo. It's not possible. Why we do it is because it's the right thing to do for our client. We're trying to help them through something and do this as simply and successfully and as less stress is best. That's what we always say. So these stepping stones of the process allow us a lot of mobility to warm up the client and maybe even serve up on a platter exactly what you want without you going through the entire process, which is a cool thing to do.
Correct.
It's a really cool thing to do. So this year was interesting in the fact that we didn't transact as a city, state, or country. The numbers were down in 2024 for all the obvious reasons. 2025 prediction is that we'll be up a minimum of 12% in total transactions, locally and nationally. That means there's a whole lot of work that we've done this past year that's translating into the new year.
we're really excited.
Very excited about that. And we've got a lot of pent-up demand, but we also have a lot of pent-up listings.
Yes.
That we're preparing for market right now. So if you had somebody, you put this out on your social platform, Steph, what would be the number one thing you'd want to let your friends, your family, your clients, your sphere know about 2025?
It's going to be a powerful year, as you just said, for all of those reasons. I would say it's never too early to start the conversation. If you are thinking about a move, don't hesitate. Now's the time to start talking and get your ducks in a row, so to speak, because it's going to be a busy year. And I do believe a lot of people who have been on the fence are going to be entering the market. So
on both sides,
being prepared, and we are here to be a resource.
Absolutely.
And whether that happens in the first quarter or the end of the year, it's not too soon to have that conversation.
It's really not. As a buyer, I always say rip that money Band-Aid off and understand what do you need to do to set yourself up for success. Wanting to make a life move doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow, nor maybe can you. Perhaps there's a new job coming. Perhaps you just got laid off and you're going to be starting a new job. Perhaps you have your debt to income ratio is off and you need to be counseled on how to balance that all out so you're able to prepare for an acquisition in 2026 or at the end of this year. We're in a position and have a team available to be able to really articulate how to prepare you so you're able to go out and make this life move that you want to make. Separately, perhaps you cannot find what you want and you really think you're going to have to maybe do a renovation to articulate and curate your exact product. Quick example, in the Midwest here, we don't have a lot of one-level living in the city.
Yeah.
And even out in the burbs, because of the amount of land mass involved, it's very hard to find main floor primary suite homes.
Especially when the demand for it is greater.
We can create it though, and probably on budget. And a lot of people can't do that. Like they can't come in and say, okay, this is a product that we could do X, Y, Z to. So when we're searching for, when we meet with you and you say, these are the things I need, we can look for active, we can look for off market, but we also can look at it through the lens of creating it through a renovation or a build. And a lot of people think they either can't do that or it's not possible. It's absolutely possible.
And it might be easier than you think, right?
Yeah, for sure. So on the buy side, you've got that piece. On the listing side, we have the video 20 years and 5 days. We literally can put you on the market as a curated, artful piece of real estate in under a week. It is possible to do. If you allow us to do it. You don't need to go that quickly, by the way. We want to work at your pace. However, saying that, sometimes the pace does take time. We have clients that have spent months preparing. We have clients that have been ready to go in under a week. Whatever your timeline is, we have literally every resource imaginable to help you through it. And that's on a budget, by the way. It's like, you know you're going to spend money on a move. It's like, what do you need to do and how do we help you do that? Working with whatever kind of customization you might need. So I think that we're going to see a very busy contracting environment. In 2025, I think we're going to see a lot of transactional movement right away in the new year.
I do too.
I mean,
January 1.
We're
going to be
hitting the ground.
We
need to get some sleep. I use the word haggard. We do a lot of entertaining in December. I'm like, I'm going to have to do a little sleeping.
A whole
for
spa
like
day.
48 hours before the end of the year, because it is going to be a really busy start.
Yeah, and we're really excited.
We're really, really excited about it. So I wanted Steph Spading on this last podcast of the year, so you can meet Steph. We're going to have all of your socials lined up at the bottom. You can check out her socials, take a look at what she has done. Everyone, Steph has been a powerful force in the Twin Cities. Absolutely, you're going to see great things out of Steph Spading in 2025. 5.
Thank you. That's
You're
very complimentary.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you know, we do spend so much time preparing these shows for you. Don't forget to click and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can watch all of our interviews with all these incredible people that we have the opportunity to meet and share their stories. And then, of course, our listing and lifestyle videos are also on the YouTube channel. So don't forget to do that. And thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on Fly the Coop. Cheers. Merry Christmas, everyone.